Yeah, so we're saying we need to conduct data gathering after action. So that is basically the last step. Okay? The last step in the data gathering after action. Okay? Which we're saying really that is like what? Feedback. Yeah? So this data gathering after action, if what you have said is that if you implement certain actions and those actions that we have taken are not working out, or in other words, they are not solving the problem, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? If we have data now gathered for after action and zoning, what are we going to do?
There must be another plan.
Another plan? So we're going back to where?
Just change where. So we didn't sing how do you see we have to remember one day about that. There must be some new elements which are fitting within. We're going to change in Jamaica just maybe eliminate.
So according to this module, the arrow goes back again to the key client.
We're going to step 4.
Yes. Yeah, remember, step first step in problem identification. Right? Number 2, consultation with behavior scientist. Right? Catch we data gathering and preliminary diagnosis. There's as what we have gathered, we give now that feedback to our client, who can be the supervisor, the manager, or maybe the owner of the organization. So what we are saying is that takurizana kwina kwose kutaziwa kuti mavuto ndawa tapangiranso limodzi kuti ma actions amene titenge ndawa kena kuma actions omwe amene tagwirizana aja sakutheka. So that's what we are saying. You have to go back again, give feedback to the what? To the client. Kena kuoneso mavuto aja mwaunikire, mwaone sesoso kuno bwino mugwirizane so kuti action ine mwe tingatenge ndi. And then implement that action, and then again get the data after action again. So it is a continuous what? Process. Okay? So that's what basically we are looking at. So the data that you have gathered after action is not just for you who immediately no. That's why we're saying feedback one day. Okay? So even if you're a consultant, don't just do things on your own. You have decided yourself together, jointly, to say this is the problem, these are the actions we're going to take, but you know that maybe those actions are not working after you have done your evaluation. Don't just go about changing yourself. But you need to give feedback again to the client. Say, okay, this is your reasons. This is done. This is okay? Yeah, so that's what is about action research. So the action research is coming in because it is dependent on the data that we have what? Collected. So whatever actions we are taking and the problems that we have identified is because we have done a research. We have collected the data through interviews, observation, questionnaire, or as we have said, looking at secondary information, which is organizational performance data. So already there we have combined 2 types of data, the primary and the what? And the secondary. The secondary and the organization performance data. You might not know the financial statement because it is ziribu gari, ziribu desk, ziribu file, mungu zirenga kuona okay. Zuenda manje. My sales journal ano, my recordings and my T accounts at day-to-day basis, how much sales you're making. You simply look at those accounts and say, okay, how much sales are we making on a daily basis? Okay, yeah, so such kind of information is what we are basing on to identify our problems, to diagnose our problems, and also to come up with an action plan. Is that okay? Is that clear? So the last one is the positive model, as we have said. So what is the positive model? The positive model focuses on what the organization is doing right. Best, in other words, we're looking at best practices. What is it that we're doing which is right? The positive model has been applied to planned change. Planned change through a process called appreciative inquiry. AI. So the word suggests appreciative inquiry. What it simply means is that you people just come to inspect or to appreciate what is it that you are doing. Appreciative what? Inquiry. What do you do exactly? How do you recruit students? How do you teach? What someone wants to know is simply what? To appreciate it, to understand how things are done. So that's what we are saying, is that what we are basically focusing in is to know what the organization, what they are doing, is it right or is it wrong? And I said, because you are checking. Yeah, so that's what we are saying, is that positive model focuses on what the organization is doing right. So how can you know whether someone is doing something right or wrong? Is that first of all you have to what? Appreciate. So the positive model is based on the process of appreciative inquiry. You simply want to see what people are doing. You want to appreciate how things are done. That's why even National Council for Higher Education does what are known as inspection. Boarding master, boarding mistress, to inspect. If you go to school, it was the opposite. I see that I expect boys. Or boys are expect to be. Could I do see a look? I said, I was living in the village and jump right on. I'm a day, do I have no yes? No one is in the market. No one do me the market, but did make money. So appreciating. Yeah? So, yeah, that's what basically we are looking at. So the appreciative or the positive model basically has 5 phases. So what are these phases? Remember, we're talking about a model. Number 1 is to initiate the inquiry. So the first thing is that we have to initiate kuti inquiry irani ichitike. So whether you're going to use the same members of staff and the organization to do the inquiry, or basically you're going to involve outsiders to do the inquiry, or it is through the regulatory authorities, as I have said, they will basically initiate this inquiry. Number 2 is basically to inquire into the best practices. Inquire into the best practices. So if we have inquired and we have found problems, then the question is, tisipanga banja ife mede mavangira kupanga recruit antu timangopita pa LinkedIn tiona amene ma lectures tiona ma CV awo online pomwepo staying their phone tiakuzadabwira zayambe. So someone may say that processing in here is not the what? The best. What you need to do is know, inclusive vacancy, newspaper, go for my interview, sentence. What you are looking at that process, you're looking at it as the best what? Practice. So that's why I'm saying that this best practice will come in after you have done an appreciative what? Inquiry. Inquiry, you have investigated how the organization is operating. And because you have seen some shortfalls, is where now you say, no, let's inquire. How should this be done? What is the best practice that we can do? Okay? Number 3 is to discover the themes. So discovering the themes is basically looking at what are the key critical areas that we should focus on.
The keys.
Discover the themes. Theme. THEME. Yeah, because there's no kind of problem. Problem is not problem. So the problem is it's not the real theme. The major problem.
The main one.
So ngani yose ikoza zodi kuyangana mapoints also cause customer, which means the common theme there is the word customer. Mana ngari problem ina koza kale ni livuro ni customer. Ni problem zena gwira musimu customer yemweyo kumalizokuza nabe ni customer, which means uvuro leme ni customer. Yeah? Or maybe let's say, okay, maybe the problem in the organization is that the organization is not innovative. Yeah? In other words, there's nothing new that you're bringing. Yeah. So innovation is the key issue. But you find without innovation, can be so many things. Maybe the issue is lacking of new products, new employees, new strategies, new processes, new policies. So says all those words because of the under one umbrella about what? Innovation. Okay. So this cannot be a problem. Main problem in innovation. Because you deal with this, it means all these problems will disappear. So you have to understand which one are the common themes. Because usually in any problem, there is a major problem and there is a minor problem. And sometimes there is a problem that is also creating another what? Yeah, so you can't start with solving that other problem. You start first of all dealing with that particular problem, and eventually when you deal with that problem, the rest of the problems will disappear. Okay? So for example, sometimes as a department, maybe you're not functioning well, but it's not to do with the entire department. Muna ni muntu mmoja amena kupangisa nditu mbongo department yose zwanenge ngalisi kugira njira. So problem the employee, so if you find all the rest of the problems regarding performance of that as a department, you find good now they are performing better. The problem is the major problem is employee, and if when as a candidate the influence can be that Yeah, so the problem cannot be those other problems that are coming, but the problem is this employee that we are looking at. Maybe in terms of his attitude, his behavior, it's toxic. Then I will behaviors in that. So the solution is when you eliminate this employee, you find so absenteeism, problem maybe there's someone who is causing this particular problem. Or it could be conflicts. Maybe there's someone appears as in Mulimba and absenteeism, yeah, so the problem is to do with what we are looking at, that we have to identify what is the common theme, what is the major problem, in other words.